I'm going to do 2 different versions of the same activity, and I want to run all the way through what the implications are of that difference over the course of a whole year. Because one thing that we harp on a lot here is efficiency, optimization, doing things as fast as possible. So I want to run all the way through like an entire year of what one activity can do. So here's version 1. Ready? Yep. And stop.
10.93 seconds.
Okay. And then version 2. Okay. Maybe let's redo that one.
No, that has to be accounted for.
Version 2 is actually version 1. Okay, let's try again. Ready?
Ready, go.
Okay, so 4-second difference.
4.4.
We'll do 4 to make it easy on my math. Could one of you guys also bring up a calculator, because we'll probably need that. So time 1.
Can't do that.
I got you. Right.
The watch has run up against its limit. So we had 10 seconds and 6 seconds for a difference of 4 seconds. Now, the number of units per month that we're doing on average for the last few months is about 5,500. So at first I was like, okay, let's multiply this by this, but not all of our units are disks, right? So this activity that I was just doing here is just inspecting a disk to see whether or not it needs to be resurfaced, which we need to do for every single game that comes in the door. I'm estimating about probably 60% of the units that we move are disk-based games. The other 40% is like cartridges / handhelds. We'll roll with it for this one. So could someone do 5,500 times 60?
3,300.
Cool. So 3,300 discs are going through our basement per month-ish. So 3,300 times 4 seconds is...
13,200.
Is that real?
Didn't even need... Yeah, it is.
Wow, okay. 13,200 seconds per month times 12 months is...
You got that one?
No, I can't do that.
Come on. Come on, Spencer. Okay, go ahead.
158,400.
Equals 1,000... Wait.
158,400.
158,400. Okay, so then let's divide that by 60.
Oh, I can close my phone. 2,640. 2,640.
2,640 minutes, which divided by 60 again
44.
is 44 hours of time in a year that is saved just by shaving 4 seconds off of every disc that you inspect. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I wanted to take it one step further and ask, if you only had 1 hour to make an Amazon batch, how much, with the average inventory, there's a lot of variance based on whether you're doing handhelds, games, whatever, but how much value could you list in that 1 hour batch, do you think?
How much could we list in an hour?
Yeah. Like you've got to go start to finish, bagged games.
Well, on average, you could.
We did this the other day.
Like we got a little over 7. Like it was like.
Yeah, 5 to 7 probably.
Really? Okay. I was thinking conservative with like 3,000, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's more like a 5,000.
You could list a whole like 150 item batch, which could be a little more than one batch.
Okay.
Yeah, when we switched those bigger boxes, and we started looking at more like, value of the shipment we're sending out versus the total versus like how many is going in each section. So we don't have to go back and click through and recheck every second, and then like do the math in your head. You just go until the number hits about 7,000, and then you can fit it in the bigger boxes.
Okay. So we'll say conservatively, maybe 5K.
6.
Sound about right. So let's do So what is $5,000 times 44?
Maybe do 4K.
Okay, so 4,000 times 44 hours is,
176.
it is 176? 176,000 extra dollars of listings per year by saving 4 seconds per game inspection. So this is sort of a micro encapsulation of why I'm always obsessed with efficiency, right? Because ultimately how fast we do the tiny things is what adds up to make this kind of a difference. And if we're next year trying to go from whatever we end up this year, maybe like 2.4 million to 5+ out of this freaking basement with a tiny team, the only way we do that is staying obsessed with these kinds of numbers. Spencer and I were talking the other day about how, like, specifically for this example, when you're inspecting a game, a lot of the stuff that we get in is going to be on the fence, right? In terms of like, do we resurface? Do we not? Really, the only wrong decision that you can make is deliberating, right? Like, even if a game is kind of on the fence, most of the time it's going to play, right? If it's not super scratchy, if there's not deep scratches, like, it's probably going to be fine. So either way you go, there's not a huge downside. But the downside of deliberating is losing out on this. So that was the big theme that I wanted to drive home today. And kind of what I'm building up to is I've been thinking a lot about this idea and how to kind of concisely sum it up, right? And try to drive it deeper into the culture of what we do here and all the new people that we may bring on in this next year. And I've been listening to these podcasts that are like mini biographies of some of the most successful people in history, CEOs, conquerors, royalty, all kinds of different people. And one thing that so many of them have in common is an obsession with speed. Both Julius Caesar and Napoleon Bonaparte were known for commanding smaller battalions than surrounding armies that they were going up against so that they could march faster and take their enemies by surprise, right? Keep an edge on their competition. I heard this story of Steve Jobs talking to one of his lead engineers. They were trying to get the boot up time of the Apple II down because it was like 35 seconds. And his engineer was like, he was trying to get him to shave 10 seconds off of it. And the engineer was giving him all these reasons why, like, hardware and all the obstacles that they were facing and why it couldn't be done. And Jobs was like, if somebody's life depended on it, do you think that you could shave 10 seconds off of the boot up time? And after hemming and hawing a little bit, the guy was like, yeah, I probably could. And Jobs went over to a whiteboard very similar to this. And he walked through, based on the number of people who would buy it and the number of times that they would boot it up, how many human lifetimes would be saved by that 10 seconds. It was thousands. And a few weeks later, he had shaved the boot up time all the way from 35 to 12 seconds. And I've been thinking also about the history of this business and how integral speed has been to not only getting this whole quick flip system up and running, the fact that like a month after having the idea for OneUp, I had already hired a design team and interviewed multiple software teams and was well on our way. I mean, granted, it took 9 months to actually build it, but the starting process was super quick. I mean, a lot of people will play around and fiddle with their business model, right? Or like tweak AI logos for 6 months. And not only was speed necessary for getting all of this up and running and starting flipping things in the first place, but it's how our entire operation runs. Other resellers, when they hear about our sell-through rate, the fact that we're selling $250,000 worth of games every month, but at any given time, we might only have $200K worth of games in stock at Amazon, means that we're selling things incredibly fast. our sell-through, what would that put our sell-through rate at? I can't remember the actual calculation. But any given game, we're likely to sell more than 12 times per year, right? Like we're likely to make 12 flips of any given game in a single year. A lot of people have to wait over a year for the average item to sell. All that to say, I've felt a fourth core value for the business brewing in my head for a while, which is what I've been building up to the whole time, because I've realized that whether it's Julius Caesar in the Balkans, or Jobs with the Apple II, or us here pushing video games in this basement, speed wins. So that's going to be our fourth core value that we really try to instill in everybody that continues to come on. I just think it's absolutely central to the reason that we've been successful so far, and it's also going to be the reasons that inevitably in coming months, coming years, competitors are going to come into the market and try to steal some of our thunder, right? They're going to try to copy, and people already have in some smaller ways tried to copy the success that we've seen with this. And the way that we're going to stay ahead of those and remain competitive, stay the best option out there, is this right here. Continuing to stay nimble and adapt really fast and not deliberate, whether it's a single disc or it's an entire business strategy. So that was what I had to say about speed wins. Also wanted to give, well, a couple other things. One is sort of a, what's it called in math? An order of operations for when we're a little bit slower. Because days like today, we've got a ton of inventory stuff to do. But likely for the last maybe week or two of the month, if I haven't been talking about quick flips a lot on YouTube, there will be lull periods, right, where all of our bins are clear. And there's not as, even this week, there wasn't as much stuff to list as you guys theoretically could have. So I wanted to give a little bit of a rubric for what to do during those times. And the few things that I thought of were, one, transfer skills. So if you're kind of at the end of the week, there's not as much stuff to do here, you're looking around like, I don't know what to spend my time on. The first and biggest one is like, can Ty come and watch Spencer list for a while? Or even, can Spencer watch Keaton list for a while? And maybe there's some stuff that you're doing that is more efficient than what Spencer's doing, and you can come together and find the single most optimal way by just taking that time that normally we don't have because we're running around like crazy because we're normally having more than enough stuff than we can actually get done. The second one is what you guys already do a ton of, which is optimizing current systems, right? Taking a little bit of time to look around and think, okay, could our DS game storage system be a little bit better in any way? And those are the kind of things that more likely they're gonna come into your mind in a time where we're super busy, and it might be a matter of just making a note of it, and then next time we're slow, you can really dive into it, because it's hard to make those kinds of pivots when we're struggling to just get everyone paid. But it's great when you do have that slower time to have a little bit of a log that you can go back to of, oh yeah, that is something I wanted to knock out. And then the last thing was learning new skills. I think for us here, probably top on the list is typing. We talked about that before. If I don't know, it's tough to, given that that's the third priority, right? We'd have to be slow for a while to really get to that, but maybe it's just like a 5 minutes a day thing. It's the kind of skill that adds up just like this does, right? Especially for Spencer, since you're responding to who knows how many support emails every week. But also for Keaton, as you're, talking to AccelerList support or, whatever other activities may, right? Not hearing from AccelerList support. New skills like that would be kind of that third tier of how do I best use this time. Wanted to end with a few shout outs. Quinn, who's probably watching this right now, there was a day last week where Erica and I were eating dinner, and I heard the door close, and I was like, what the heck was that? Was someone here? And she was like, yeah, Quinn was here. And I was like, that is an independent worker right there. I literally did. I felt a little bad for not saying hi to him, at least during the day. Had no idea that he was here doing work in the basement. So nice job, Quinn, for that. Ty, I saw you've been knocking out more bins in a given shift, right? On the prepping side, I think in your first shift, it was maybe like 2 bins in the morning. I think at this point, you're probably up to 3+. So well done on that. Definitely see that efficiency adding up.
Yeah, Ty.
Last week, we had an absolutely massive listing week. So this is a mostly Keaton, but also Spencer kind of tag team. Because also Spencer stayed really late one day last week and just kept crushing. Over $100,000 of stuff listed last week. So well done, guys. This is the perfect time of year to have a huge listing week. Because it's going to go active, like, I don't know. It'll take a little bit longer, but maybe early December when a lot of people are going out of stock with other stuff. So that's perfect and will be really helpful for revenue. The other thing that is kind of an everyone shout out is there were a couple moments earlier this week where between support going wrong with and having Exceller list issues that are just tough to figure out. Also, I was just taking a little peek into the support email, our incoming support email, this morning, trying to figure out something for the developers, and was just realizing, oh, and also another thing I was looking at, hearing the resurfacer make a ton of angry noises yesterday. And all of those things made me just reflect and realize there are probably dozens of little problems and little headaches that come up every single week for you guys that I never even hear about. And that has just made me way happier. So appreciate you guys, especially on the support side. That's like just a series of boom, problem, 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 problem. Most of those never even reach me. So your work has definitely made me more mentally healthy in only having a designated set of problems to worry about. So I really appreciate you guys there. And yeah, keep crushing it.
Yay. Speed wins.
Speed wins, folks. Quinn shows up with a bag of meth next month.